All right, Mike Kiely from Training Haus. Thanks very much for joining us for the very first Connect listing on Momentum Connect, which is awesome. So go ahead, please, and introduce yourself. Tell us a little about who Mike Kiely is.
Absolutely. So like Stu said, my name is Michael Kiely, and I am a sports scientist at Training Haus in Eagan, Minnesota. I will go from kind of education through where I'm at now. So I studied exercise physiology at Marquette. Did that for obviously 4 years. And then while I was there, I was an undergraduate strength and conditioning coach for Todd Smith and Maggie and Emily. And while I was there, Todd said, I want to learn force plates. And so he kicked my butt out the weight room and said, go learn how to use these things for me. And so had a great opportunity with a professor to start doing some stuff with force plates, and then started integrating that into men's basketball. And that turned into a master's degree opportunity. And so I stayed for an extra 1.5 years and did my master's in biomechanics and kinesiology. And then after that was just kind of searching for jobs, and found a clinic in Minnesota that had a force plate and needed some coaching done. And that led to opportunity number one. And then while I was there, a big orthopedic group in Minnesota, Twin Cities Orthopedics, decided to build their own performance center. And one of my clients' dads became the manager and called me and says, I want you to come build my lab. So I had an incredible opportunity to join the Training Haus team in the origin stages in 2018, where I built a lab with force plates, motion capture, instrumented treadmill, and a biodex. And our goal was to develop objective return to sport measurements for ACL injuries. And so I've been there for the past 3 years, and we are constantly growing. I'm an active strength and conditioning coach as well. So I coach individuals who are coming back from ACL injuries and other knee injuries, and kind of bridge that gap between rehabilitation and performance. And we use the data from the lab to really guide that programming. And so that's where I'm at now. And it's a perfect balance of being a total nerd in the lab, but also, getting my hands dirty in the weight room.
No, that's awesome. And I've had the unfortunate fortune of having a couple of athletes run through Mike and his facility, which is awesome. It's an incredible place. Obviously, there's a lot going on there. I presume you have intern coaches who roll through not just sports science, but also strength conditioning, physical therapy, things like that. But specifically in your realm, if an intern coach or an intern sports scientist was to come work alongside you, can you give us a typical idea of what their daily schedule might be like, or what their weekly schedule might, and their responsibilities might be?
Absolutely. Our goal with our internship is to build a multifaceted professional. So essentially multiple skills. So we will be integrating into the lab first off. So that'll be with day-to-day collections. We see about 30 patients a week, plus some performance testing. So learning how to use the equipment, making sure patients are comfortable in the testing, and making sure that data is reliable and valid in our data collections. That's number one. And then number two is data analysis, day-to-day workflow of the lab, making sure that our motion capture data gets tracked, reports get built, and really kind of in that organization piece. And number three is our coaching. So what we really like to do is have our interns come into the weight room and understand how to start off with lead and warm-ups, and understanding our speed and agility progressions, then learning how to teach our lifts and stuff like that. And so really being able to see how we integrate the data into our day-to-day practice. So it's a good balance. Primarily we're going to be in the lab, but we want to make sure that we've got that application piece in the weight room and our field turf.
Yeah, that's great. I think the best part about many of these internships is you learn the applicability of the theory that you might otherwise study in the classroom. You kind of get to see it in practice. You understand what theory potentially does work and what theory potentially doesn't work, maybe due to logistics or resourcing or whatever. So these are super valuable experiences. So obviously you've had a couple of interns come through your department over the last couple of years. So can you give mention to any one individual perhaps that stands out, or maybe just a general concept of where do these intern sports scientists typically head off to after they've been with you?
Yeah, great question. And so I'll give kind of two pathways that we've seen so far. So we've had individuals that are in their master's program come in and work with us. And what that individual has done is they actually ended up getting a job in industry. And so as we build this internship, some people come in for kind of more the sports science realm, some people come for the performance. And so this individual went to kind of more the sports science realm and is working for actually one of our technology suppliers. And so it's pretty cool having somebody who, was in the lab with us, but then now they're out working the technology. And so they're our go-to customer support and program development. And so that's one route. So we have someone going into the industry with that situation. And then we have a few that we're not in grad school yet. And so it's kind of that bridge the gap between, do I want to go to grad school or do I not? And so we've had 2 individuals come through in their senior year of college and then enter a master's degree program at in biomechanics or kinesiology. And so right now, kind of the past 3 years, we've kind of held on to our interns for about a year. And so that's kind of where they're at, the sports science side of things, is they go to grad school for sports science or into the industry. And so our hope with that is we develop as technology gets more and more prevalent in the sports performance and rehab realm, that we are building professionals that can go in and run this technology for strength and conditioning professionals and physical therapists who might not have the time in their day to be able to get as much out of the technology as they can. So we want to build people that can really bridge that gap from the technology piece to the clinic or performance piece.
That's great. No, it's music to my ears, really. You hear about these kind of horror story internships of ones that really don't add any value. So it's really great to kick off this whole series of videos with internship coordinators with one that's like clearly adding value to these young professionals who are looking to get out into the field. So that's really, really cool. So my final question for you, and obviously something that is key to this whole connect process, is we want to make sure that we can really connect these young professionals with the person who's behind the computer, who's accepting their applications and who they're going to work with. Listen to how they sound, see how they carry themselves through these videos we're recording. So obviously you're only one person at Training Haus. So can you give us an idea of what kinds of personal and or professional characteristics would your kind of ideal intern candidates have? How would they mesh well with the staff there?
Absolutely. And so first off, competitors. Okay. So our facility has sports performance, physical therapy, chiropractic, sports science, dietetics, sports psychology, you name it, it's all in one roof. So we have a very unique collaborative unit of professionals. And so working together where you have these people that are all trained on the human body, but in different realms, and making sure that we apply these levels of expertise at appropriate manners makes for kind of an interesting kind of gumbo in a way. And so for our interns, we like people that can come and not just sit around and watch, right? It's very common nowadays, and in especially the PT world, it becomes very observant, where it's stand and watch. Mm-hmm. We need interns that are, number one, personable, because you're being in contact with patients or athletes every single day. We need someone who's going to compete a little bit, right? So how, in that regard, it's like, how are they going to push us to get better? How are they going to push themselves to get better? And how are they going to kind of integrate into what do they see that can possibly be added value to us? Because we also want to provide value to the intern, but most of what we do in the lab has gotten better a little bit by an intern saying, this would be better if we did this. And so I call that the competitive nature in a way, where it's like, hey, how can you push me in a way to challenge what's happening, to make sure that we optimize our continual growth. That, and they got to be pretty kind of, I don't want to say thick-skinned. I want to say like, it's a lot of workload, right? And so it's one of those things where I like to have our interns take on a lot of responsibility, because that's, in my opinion, the only way they grow. And so I like to push them to like, okay, we need to get this done on a certain deadline, or I expect them to be able to learn our basic skills quickly. Like within 3 weeks, we're rocking and rolling, right? It's not going to be this checkpoint thing. It's, you're coming into an active clinic that is like, hey, we need you to work day one. And so kind of being able to take on a load very quickly is ideal for our interns coming in.
That's awesome. Awesome. No, really great stuff, Mike. Well, we really appreciate you sharing about the Training Haus, and we hope to be able to share some more in the future about the strength conditioning side and potentially the physical therapy side as well. So Absolutely. Thanks for being the first. I appreciate that. And I'm sure we'll have many intern sports scientists headed your way soon.
Love it. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Appreciate your time.
All right. Good stuff, Mike. Thanks very much.